Women in Localization Be Empowered series. And I'm very excited to be joined by CEO of Multilingual
and publisher.
And publisher Marjolein Groot Nibbelink.
Nibbelink. You got it.
Okay, can you please pronounce your name for us and just tell us all about you?
Sure. So raised in the Netherlands, and my parents were thoughtful enough to give me a very Dutch name, and it's Marjolein Groot Nibbelink.
Exactly what I said.
Definitely 80% what you said. Yeah, grew up in a small town in the Netherlands, very secure and structured upbringing, and always wanted to travel, always wanted to see the tropics. So first I went to Australia when I was 19, and then I got the taste for it. I would work really hard in the Netherlands and save a bunch of money. And then I headed out to Costa Rica for a volunteer project, and I stuck around for a year. I tore up my ticket. I never wanted to go back. So I used up all my money just doing loops in Central America. And met some great friends, did some college back at home again. Then went to South America and spent about 2 years there. Came to the States for a classic reason, fell in love with someone I met, and I stuck around.
Okay, this is amazing. Yes, not many. I mean, depending on the where you are in the world, many people travel all over, right? But the fact that you've lived for more than 1 year or for long periods of time in several different continents and in countries is amazing. So your career trajectory, traveling over 30 countries, I know is the number for you, and then moving to the United States. Share with us how these experiences have shaped your leadership style.
I think that traveling abroad, especially to developing countries, is essential for people to recognize how fortunate they are and to be open and accepting of other people and their ways. And if you spend significant time, if you're not just like, 2 weeks in a resort, but you do what we did, we had our own car and we drove the entire length of the continent all the way to Ushuaia. You have to adjust. You have to try to fit in. So I think it requires a level of understanding and empathy that could make the world a better place. And I think it makes for good leadership too. I mean, it makes it intense instead of saying, do this, do this, do this, to really understand what people want, what they're passionate about, and then being, willing to adjust my ideas and work with that. I think it makes for a completely different leader than you see in a lot of companies.
Yeah. So let's backtrack for a second and tell me about your current role and then maybe the size of your team, etc.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the publisher. We say it's the CEO of Multilingual Media because it's more than just a magazine, and the publisher of Multilingual Magazine. So as we have our YouTube channel, we have the podcast, we have the website, the newsletter. There's so many media formats that we moved from multilingual computing to multilingual media 3 years ago. And that's when I was put in charge. At first, I was in an account management role. And the opportunity came up, really. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't consider myself to be capable of heading a team, managing a company into a more successful status because it was struggling. It was sink or swim, really. So I managed, we were just left with 2 people at this point 3 years ago. And now we have 12. We have people in helping us from Poland, we've got Argentina, Colombia, Mexico. There's some people on the West Coast. Yeah, we have a nomad. We have a working nomad. So he moves every 3 months. So that's about it. That's the size of the team. Not everyone is full time, but a lot of us are. I think we had like 5 full-time people. So it's not a big team, and a lot of people consider Multilingual to be this like massive publication, and it's really cool, but we're doing it with a very small team.
Fascinating, because you're talking about not being prepared, or you didn't think that you were ready for the role. And in so many interviews I've ever done, it is actually asking leaders, how did they know they were ready for the next thing? And so in your case, it was like, hey, we have this opportunity. We know you're ready for it. And other times it's people saying, like, I know I'm ready for it. Let me lead beyond my role. But talk with me a little bit about like what that felt like for you. I mean, I'm sure there was imposter syndrome, and you had to like get out of your own way in order to lead beyond what you thought you were capable of.
Yeah, thanks for that question. It's an interesting dichotomy that happened in that situation, because I've always been very ambitious, and wherever I show up, I try to outdo what the task set is, right? I try to do better and better. And what happens, and I think this happens to a lot of women under 30 or under 35, maybe in their entire careers, and when you do that and you show up in a place and you show this ambition, you're put back in your place, right? And people will say, no, it's not the right time, and that's too much. We don't want to do this. It's a stupid idea. And so, I kind of retreated into my little corner, and I kind of lost my ambition for Multilingual. And I had been working here for 5 years before I became the publisher. So that ambition kind of got killed, but then when the opportunity came up to step into a larger role, I was ambitious, but not to the point where I thought I could really be like the main leader. And when I was given the opportunity, I still was carrying that insecurity with me of being put in place so much over time, especially when I was under male leadership. This was just typically a thing with, like, if you're dealing with, male bosses. And then it was actually, 2 guys that put me into this position. It was Tucker and Renato from Nimsy that suggested that I become the CEO. And at that point, even with the ambition that I had, that was not my ambition. That went way beyond my ambition. And it was perfect timing because it was during COVID, so I didn't have much else to do. I was living alone. I had just bought a house, so I could use the income. And I wanted to tackle it. And it's been a great life-changing experience over the last 3 years. Really has been.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That is amazing to know the backstory, but I think so many people will empathize with that because of all of the variant nuances played here. In reflecting on like your time then these past couple of years as CEO, what is your biggest lesson learned, and what's something that you're most looking forward to?
This just came up in a call this morning. I think the biggest lesson learned is to be patient. And I'm not a very patient person in nature, but I am tolerant, right? So I'm very tolerant of people and their ways, and give them a really wide berth and try to work with that. Instead of telling people that they need to adjust how they are and who they are. But I am not patient in like, okay, this should be done. This should be done right now. And learning to be patient at that has been the biggest lesson for me, because I have my ambition and I can work, 12 hours a day, but it doesn't mean that I can expect the same from people in different positions and in different places, and they have like families and stuff like that. And so to actually step away for a second and letting people do what they need to do, giving everyone independence, and then letting them take ownership of the result instead of feeling that they're always just doing what someone else says. And that's actually a leadership style that I learned from Renato Veninato, and it's really satisfying. So I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned. And then, you asked what my biggest ambition is. I have subscribed to other magazines. We have the ambition to be a big magazine. You know, Wired started as a tech only magazine, and now they're a general interest magazine that gets read all over the place by any types of people in any type of business. So that's an ambition, and we're moving towards it. You know, I think we've started a snowball effect in the last couple of years. Subscribers are way up. You know, we're getting so much in the way of contributions, editorial contributions, that we're able to turn things down or move things online instead of putting them in the magazine. So yeah, that's the ambition. And I want that to happen like right now. I want to have, you know, 500,000 subscribers right now. There's that impatience again.
Okay, so now there's so many things. With the ambition part of things, how many subscribers does Multilingual have today?
We have a readership, I think it's 47,000. And when I came on board, it was closer to 20,000. So we've doubled. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the sky is the limit, 500,000.
So what we're doing is we're making sure that we have a product that deserves that kind of readership. Make sure the quality is really good, content's good, it looks good. We have a distribution system in place where we can reach anyone, anywhere. So that when people do start discovering us, which is happening right now, but as we're going outside of the industry, which is also happening right now, if that boost comes, that we are ready to be on par with magazines of that size.
Yeah. And in order to do that, it brings us back to the lesson learned, because I too, in a coaching other organization role, I will often say to my clients, you've hired the best people to do the job. Now it is time to let them do the job. Right. And whether that CEO grew the business from the ground up and therefore they have an emotional attachment to it, or maybe in your case, that's not the case, but there's still like something of, I have a lot of time to work and I can't expect that for everybody else. I need to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
That is also then how you grow. So tell us, to wrap up then, a little bit about like how we can support you in helping multilingual media becoming a force to be reckoned with inside and outside of our industry. Like, you know, what are some of your goals, your 1 to 3 goals you're working toward in the next 1 to 3 years, and like how can the general public help?
Mm-hmm. Well, this coming year we want to reach 100,000 readers, and the way we do that is by including new names, new writers, so that those people will basically become ambassadors for that issue, and they'll share it with their family, and that family and those friends, they will work in different business areas, and then they'll subscribe. You know, that's kind of the idea. The organic growth is really strong, but we rely on the readers to be conscientious of how much they mean to us in obtaining our goals. The other one is, let's see, well, right now we're practically operating as a nonprofit, right? Like Multilingual is, we're managing, we're able to do the work that we do, but we're not making any profit. And any profit that we get is going to be turned into, you know, growing the team. That's how we've gone so far, from 2 to 12 people. So if people see the opportunities to make introductions to people who want to support the magazine, that's a really big help. I know it's a big ask too, putting yourself out, putting yourself on the line with that. Let's see, a third ambition, I want to write more. This is a personal ambition. I've always wanted to be a writer. It's the most consistent goal I've had. I tend to just kind of go with whatever I feel like and focus on that for a while, and then leave it. I'm like, okay, I've done this. Now I'm going to go do something else. But writing has been a passion since I was like 8. I've contributed to a couple of articles. I would like to write more myself. Yeah, that's really kind of it.
Yeah. And then to wrap up, I know that you're you do a lot of outdoor activities, right? So how does that influence your leadership style? And tell us a little bit about what you like to do and when you're not working 12-hour days.
Yeah, I'm really into cycling, which seems very stereotypical being from the Netherlands. As a kid, I hated exercise. I mean, I didn't start walking until I was 1.5. I just sit down, be fat and ask for cookies, like that was how I was as a kid. And I made sure that my parents were miserable if we went on walks and bike rides. I was like, I'm tired. And then, I started road biking, racing when I was like 16, and then I've never stopped. I really like that. So I like setting goals for myself. And I think that that's the part where it complements work. Aside from just like you need to exercise if you sit on your butt all day looking at a computer. You need to exercise to maintain sanity, but creating these other goals in your life so that you feel like you're not only working for someone else's goals or for, business goals for work, having a personal goal and making that an exercise goal, it kind of works for both of those things for maintaining health, also mental health, and then feeling that you're during this time that you're really into a job, also developing yourself in your own life, and then having the self-discipline to attain those personal goals. And for that, you have to really learn to balance work and personal life. And so I think it's crucial. I think you can't just focus on work and you can't just focus on your personal goals. It needs to be balanced.
I love it. I love it. This was really inspirational to me. Thank you so much for sharing everything. If we want to get a hold of you, or again, subscribe to the magazine or to Multilingual Media as a whole, what are the best places for that?
LinkedIn is we're very active there. I'm active there. Messages will arrive and will get read by me. Multilingual.com, it has everything there. You can see our YouTube, you can see our shop. This is a thing too. People don't really know we have a shop. We have some really cool swag. The YouTube, the podcast, it's all on multilingual.com. Very easy to find. To contact me directly, I would say a LinkedIn message will definitely be seen.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.